Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mama Genius podcast last festival today because we're doing it all. And it's been so exciting having all these speakers so far, having these one-on-one chats with all of them. And my heart is just so full. And you came into this thinking, I thought, oh, this is going to be a long day with all these interviews and stuff. You know what? It's just been so enlightening, so lovely. And you really, when you are in your genius, you know that you're there and it's just a fun day. And I get to bring on Mitch to talk about my favorite topic of being lost in motherhood and how do we get past that? Because that's what started me down this whole journey of just that feeling, that foggy feeling and stuff. And so I can't wait to hear Mitch's takeaway and things for us to help those of you that are in that spot and want to do more. And so we'll get right to bringing Mitch on after this. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle DeKaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. Mitch Blackford never anticipated becoming an expert in having mom-stir moments. I'm sure we've all had those, right? But 2 years into motherhood, that's where she found herself. That and the feeling that she was lost, who she was. I think we all have that kind of identity fear and things and don't even realize it. But realizing she wanted a better way of living, she began a quest to make a life fun and rich and is dedicated to helping other moms do the same. I'm so excited to bring her on and share that with all of us. Welcome to the stage, Mitch.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited to have you on here today because I haven't really had a chance to have any one-on-ones with you. And I'm just so excited because we have like similar topic messaging and I just can't wait to dive in because I know everyone's always fearful of that competition of someone who has similar messaging than you. But what I know is true is it's still going to come from you and different. And I think that's what this genius is all about is even if it's similar voicing messaging, it doesn't matter because we have our own twist, our own way of saying it. And we reach the people we need to, and we need to get rid of that competition feeling in us that we've had as women and realize that we do better supporting each other and working together. So welcome, Mitch. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. No, I completely agree with you. It's true. You can either have that lack mentality and like, it's got to be just mine. I can't share. What I find in my experience is the more you help out, the more abundance mentality you have, just the more it's just going to come back at you. The more collaboration that you get, you grow your game to a higher level, you help others get to a higher level. And there are, I don't know, 8 billion people in the world. How many of them are moms? I think there's enough to go around. And
I think so
so,
too.
I want to have a life, and I'm sure you want to have a life. So, we need more people to be on a mission and to go after and pursue this and to have those different voices because you're right. You never know who you're going to resonate with. Like there might be someone that hears my stories and they're like, "Oh, that's it." And another person that hears your story and is like, "Oh, no, that's the voice I need to hear." And to me, it's all gravy. Just go, as long as you find someone that you resonate with and that helps you get the results that you're wanting, I don't care who it is. I
I
just
don't
want everyone to have a better life, and I'm going to have fun doing it.
exactly. And I love that about you so much. So I just want to know how is the festival going for you?
Good. It was fun. I mean, when I did my live, that was kind of funny because apparently my laptop decided that it didn't want to register my camera or my microphone, so I had to go. So I'm like 10 minutes late. I'm like, well, we're going on the phone, and but it worked out, and everyone was so gracious and wonderful. And you have had such a fantastic lineup of speakers and topics, and oh my goodness, like it's just been really amazing to see what women are out there, what they're coming up with, and just how they show up and play out and just pour their souls into everyone. So that's been really, really cool. And
Yes.
like I said, kudos to you for putting this together. That
Oh,
was
well,
just
thank you.
an ingenious idea.
I love that pun. I'm going to take it.
Take it, take it.
And I think that's what this is all about is those different voices. And again, let's get rid of the overwhelm because you don't need to listen to all the speakers. You need to
Mm,
listen to whatever your intuition is calling you to. Like
yes.
out of the 12 that we're doing today, if you find one, that's what this is all about. And so I'd love to dive into what your why is behind what you're doing.
Sure. Well, I mean, a little bit in the bio, the monster moment. So, what had happened was, um,
I love that.
yeah, like about right before COVID, for 7 years or 8 years or something like that, before COVID hit, I was actually working with a company that was in travel, and they would have these huge training events, and I would go and coordinate volunteers because they'd have anywhere from 1,000 to 20,000 people. It takes people to move people, and just imagine you walk into an event. Think of every person that you see that's working at that event. So I would do that. And it would be volunteers that would normally be attending the event. So, because they were missing out on a lot of it, and a lot of it was personal development, we would do personal development trainings, coordinate, and then do like one on one sessions with them throughout the weekend so that they could kind of get past whatever they were working on. So, literally, I'd been large and in charge, running rooms, teaching people how you can react and kind of control your reality because you're the one that's responsible for your reactions. And then COVID hit. And so I went from traveling the world about 12 times a year to all of a sudden I was stuck at home. We were in this rental because we had just sold our house. We were building a new house, which was really cool. Never thought we'd be able to do that. Here we were, but we're like in this 1972 original rental, dark brown walls, dark brown floors, brown everything, huge trees outside, which were gorgeous, but it kept all the light out. So just dark, 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 furniture flowing everywhere.
Was it dark?
Oh, it was a little dark. It was a little dark. So, yeah. And then I had 2 girls that were 2.5 and 1.5 years old, and so, toys all over the place because they're 2.5 and 1.5,
Yes.
and so, all of a sudden, literally, I remember I had a trip to Thailand scheduled for March 13th, and my husband was gonna join me on that one, and March 8th came, and we got the call, "Sorry, everything is canceled," and I'm like, "Ah, no," which worked out well because Thailand ended up being, like, the first hotspot, and we probably would have been stuck there for a year or something, but so we're getting into this COVID, and I went from, like I said, having this large and in charge life, going around the world helping people change their lives, to now my husband came home, and the most interesting thing I had to say to him was like, "I changed 5 poopy diapers today."
Only 5? That's
I
amazing.
know, I mean, it was amazing. I know, and I just literally was like, "I have become the most boring person." I literally couldn't think of conversation, and then we would have issues with our builder. It was funny because we're both in communication and we couldn't communicate with this guy. We would send him an email with 3 different questions that would require, more than a one word response. And the email reply we would get back would be like, yes. And we just look at each other like, yes, what? So that challenged us. And so, kind of issues in my marriage, issues in our living situation. And then I have these 2 little girls that are just running a house that are precious, precious, precious as can be. But I'm literally just losing it. And one day they were just playing and screaming and running. And I just had the biggest self pity party in the world because that's all it comes down to, right? When we're having bad times, what are we doing? We're having a self pity party. And I just lost it. And I started screaming. And in my mind, I was like, sound loud and scary. So they think you're a monster and they're scared and they just shut up because I couldn't take it anymore. And I did. And I thank God because I think they were just too little to understand what was going on, but they just stopped and looked at me with these wide eyes like, "What's going on, mommy?" And then of course, mom guilt hits like that, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm the worst mom in the world." And I'm like having to snot and the bawling and the crying and just boogers and tears everywhere. "I'm so sorry, my baby's coming," and I'm hugging them and I'm on the floor and I'm just like, "What has happened to me?" Like literally that was never my dream, "Oh, I'm gonna get married. We're gonna have kids. I'm gonna be the best momster there ever was, and my kids are gonna fear me." Yes.
That's the things
So,
before parenting.
yeah, exactly. No, before I was a parent, I was talking to a friend of mine on this. We were joking around how we were the most amazing parents before we ever had kids, like literally perfect parents. But so now, we have this experience, and I literally was just on the floor, and I'm like, who am I? What happened to me? I used to be this really cool chick. I could hold a conversation with an adult that had nothing to do with children. I used to be like really in charge of my brain, and I have this whole bag of tips and tools, and I can't even muster up one. And I just hated it. I hated it.
Mm.
And, I'm sure as like if you're going through this, there are others that are going through that same experience. And honestly, that was a big motivator for me in my decision because it was like in that moment, I made a decision. It was like, okay, no more. I am done with this. I do not want to be this person. I will not be this person. I don't care what it takes. We're changing. We're changing method of operation in this household through method of operation of who I am. And I'm going to find that really cool person that I used to really like and that I used to be, and I'm gonna be that person because I have 2 beautiful little girls, and if I
Mhm.
am not that person, who are they gonna grow up to be? They're never gonna believe that they get to live the life that I tell them. No, they're gonna be like, "Well, that's a load of crock, mom. We've seen you. You just take what life gives you." And that broke my heart right there too.
Mhm.
So, that's my why, and, as you know too, just because you make a decision, it doesn't mean life changes automatically in that moment.
Not so much.
Not so much. It literally takes making that decision over and over and over and over and over again and backing it up with action. Because if there's no action, the decision was pointless. It was just a nice, fanciful thought, but nothing's
So
changing.
true, and especially and
Yeah.
then the action takes the courage to keep doing it because like, that's
Hmm.
like, "Okay, well, I just did that one. Do I have to do another one?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
What? That one was hard. Don't make me. I don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, I can throw a tantrum more than my girl. I like if they get on the floor and kick and scream, I can do it even louder.
Oh, I'm so with you on that one, and I've had a couple of those, and I go close the door.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, you want a challenge? I'll throw down. I'm not going to lose.
So true. So true. On that
Yeah.
note, we'll be back in a second. We're gonna go through Mitch's ways of how to do that. We're gonna get into the how. Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths. Transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. And that's mamageniushub.com. And we're back. So I just want to dive into how did you get out of that, and what are some of the tips you have for the moms to help them really create that identity again? Because it really is, I feel like it's a merging of identities now. It's not that we lost something. It's
Hmm.
like how do we put that together to say this is who I am now with this new part of my life.
Yeah. And that's a really important distinction because it's not that I want to kick my mom to the curb and be like, "Ah, I don't like this mom persona. I love it. I value it. It's probably, obviously it's the biggest part of my life right now. And my babies were, I mean, they're in vitro. I had to pay a lot of money to have these kids. So I better darn well like them. But
Pressure's on.
yeah, exactly. The pressure's on. So it's not about squashing mom. It's about taking this beautiful new role that you have, not letting it become all consuming though. And I think that that's the mistake that a lot of us make. And it's an innocent mistake because in the beginning, you're just so enamored with this precious little being that you created. And you're just like, oh, everything is about this child. And I'm like, I just want to kiss you 24/7. Let's put on this outfit. You're so cute in that one too. Oh, you farted. I mean, it's we just and then we don't realize that we become so entrenched in this world of motherhood and we kind of put things to the side without even realizing it, and then all of a sudden we look up and we're like, well, what happened? And that precious little baby is giving me attitude now, like I don't know about this. So we have to recover those parts of us that we really cherished from the beginning and incorporate this new mom, and now we're going to find pieces of ourselves that maybe we didn't even know existed before we became moms. So it's finding those parts too, and now creating this package of, okay, this is who I want to be moving forward. I don't want to just live by, I call it the ping pong machine, like or ping pong, yeah, no, pinball.
There we go.
The pinball machine where you just life hits you from side to side and you just kind of take it as it comes, and you end up with what you end up with. You got to get really intentional. If you want to have a life that you love and you enjoy, you need to be the one that's writing the music and composing it and moving forward on it. So, like I said in the beginning, it starts with a decision. If you don't have a decision, then your body, your brain doesn't know where to go. It's just going to continue to play that pinball machine. And then once you have that decision, here's the thing is you got to be committed to yourself. And this is something I would challenge most moms to think about right now, or most women listening to this. When was the last time that you made a commitment to yourself about something that was important and you honored your word and stuck with it? You didn't like, oh, something came up that for the kids or for husband or for friends or for work and oh, I got to put this to the side now because this is more important. Because we do
That
that
is
all the time.
that is just such a I just have to pause for it because that's such
Yeah.
a great question because a lot of times we're like, we're gonna do this for ourselves, and then like you just that's the first thing to go is your commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
And everyone your commitment to everyone else comes first
Yep.
when it should be the other way around. I love how Gwendolyn Doyle says it. The person you should disappoint the least is yourself. And she says
Yeah.
that to her daughters, and her daughter's like, well, what if I disappoint you? And she's like, I should be the one you disappoint if it's not mean you don't disappoint yourself.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
should be first and forefront.
Well, and it was fun yesterday. I was interviewing someone on my podcast, and she's a licensed marriage and family counselor, and she was talking about she has teenage daughters, and she says I love saying no. Sometimes I'll just say no, just to say no, not because there's any reason, but just because I'm going to say no. And I loved it in that moment. It wasn't about being mean or poking at your kids. It was about the fact that you know what? Guess what? I have my time. I know you need a ride somewhere, but right now, I'm the priority. You are not. And that's okay. You will figure it out. Life will continue on because you're not getting exactly what you want at this moment. Because right now, mama needs to fill up her tank. And that means I'm not driving anyone anywhere. And so, yeah, I was just like, yes, yes. Because, because so often we're like, oh, I got it. The kids, they need a play date. They need to go out or they've got to go. They want to be in soccer and jujitsu and dance and voice and this and that. And now I've just become the taxi service. So again, we forget about all the commitments we made to ourselves. It's like, oh, I'll just get to that later. So that's the big thing is figuring out, okay, how can I honor my commitment to myself? And that takes action. And a lot of the times, that word is a scary word 'cause it feels like it has to be big and bold and like I got to do something major every day, all day long, 24/7. And it's not. It can be one small thing every day, one simple thing that you follow through on every day. And then that starts to stack until it creates a habit. Okay. And then now it's becoming automatic, it's becoming routine. And once we get to that point, it's like, okay, well, what's the next action that we can stack on top of that? One simple thing that I feel like I can grab onto today, like that is doable. That
Yes,
is doable. Because if you don't feel like it's doable and it feels overwhelming, you're never going to do it.
exactly.
Fun. It has to be compelling. It has to be simple that I can do it. And if you hit that trifecta, man, you get on a roll.
Well, I want to say, like, ask yourself, what is something I can do for 10 minutes that I will enjoy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, we forget about our enjoyment as well. It's like, oh, well, it's just one more thing I have to do. No, what are you actually going to enjoy in
Yeah.
this process? Because I love that so much. And it's just like bringing that together. And can I actually hold out that commitment without feeling guilty to give myself 10 minutes a day?
Yes, it's true. And it might even be like, you might like, I can't even think about it. I'll just want to take a nap. Well, take a nap.
Like, we're like, jinx.
Take a nap. Yeah, exactly. Take the nap. Pick your nails. I don't care. Just I don't care what it is. If it's your 10 minutes where you're just like, oh, I feel I can breathe, I can decompress, I don't feel so overwhelmed in this moment, then yeah, go for it. But so it's creating those simple actions. So, if you watched the live that I did, it's the first thing that you have to do is you got to schedule it because usually if we don't write it down, if we don't lock it in, it's never going to happen. So, open up your calendar. Oh, yeah, put it in your put alerts, put alarms, and change alarms. Don't have the same alarm because trust me, you'll start to tune out the alarm. I had an app where it would do the alarms, and for the first little while, it was really exciting, and then it just got annoying. And I just tuned it out because it was the same sound every single time. So choose different alarm sounds, pick a favorite song or whatever it is, so that each thing every day, like it might take you some time to do this, but it's worth it because it's like, oh wait, what's that? Oh, okay, I got to take my time. And so you want to put it in some sort of schedule writing, block it out so that that it helps you. It helps you commit. If you can find a friend to help you commit to it too, go for that. If you're cool with your spouse being a reminder, cool. I'm not that woman. Like there are certain things where I'm like, I love my husband. I love him dearly and we do a lot of things together, but there are certain things where it's like I can't have you hold me accountable because now I'm just going to resent you.
I love that you like identify that though. And I think that's so true.
Yeah.
Is pick your accountability partner based on who you can actually take that from and
Yeah.
who will guide you with that, because we doesn't have to be your spouse. And
Yeah.
it might be one of your kids. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna push you, and like I mean my son sometimes will be like, Mom, it's supposed to be this way, and you should have like been working on this. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't want it to be someone where you're like, "Well, now I'm not gonna do it because you told me to." And they're like, "I told you to 'cause you
Exactly.
told me to."
And if you were my husband, that would have been my attitude.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's just kind of a form of self-sabotage because I'm sure you've heard of this, or if you haven't, basically, we have an internal setting of what we feel like we are worth and what we are able to receive or put out in life. Okay. And so think of it like a thermostat. If you have the air set to 72, it will only let the house go down to 68 before the heat kicks on. So it comes back up to 72. And then if the heat goes too high, it might hit 76. And it's like, oh, no, 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 got to put the air back on. Let's bring it back to 72. So your internal mindset is the same thing. You have a set point that you feel comfortable at currently. Okay. It doesn't mean you're stuck there. It just means that's where you're at right now. And so anytime you're wondering, like, why can't I get past this? Well, it's because you have that set point. You haven't acknowledged it and haven't figured it out. And you haven't created a new belief around it to get past it. And so then we put in those self-sabotaging things that when I get a little too high and mighty, I bring myself back down. But if I get too low, it's like, oh no, 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 I'm worth more than that. And I bring myself back up. So again, choosing that accountability partner, look at it like, okay, am I going to end up using this as an excuse because I'm going to get resentful or whatever? So it's little things to look at like that. So you want to schedule it. The next thing, if you can't get an accountability partner, and then like I said, the big thing that made a big, or I'm talking big a lot. We're going big. Something that really impacts difference in your life is when you get your values in order and you understand what they are and you understand how they rate for you. Because all of our values do not hold the same level of impact in our life for us. Some have more value than others, right? And so, I use the example when I was single for a long time, like a very long drought. It was sad, it was lonely. You didn't want any of that. But I had a number one in value of independence. Okay. And independence as well. You got to figure out, okay, what does that value actually mean to me? Like independence, the United States of America, great. We're a free country. We want to have all this, but great value. For me, it was you got to be able to do everything on your own. Okay. Well, if that's my number one value, how in the world am I creating any space for someone to come into my life and sweep me off my feet and be my Prince Charming and share a life with? It's just not going to happen because even, like I said, I had love on there. It was like independence was like, hello, boom, take that, get down there.
Exactly.
And so you got to figure out what are your values? What do they mean to you? And how do they rank? And how can we put it in a way where it makes you feel, okay, this is me, this I get, and they dance with each other instead of fight with each other. And
Mhm.
just like that alone, when I was saying that is it helps you make decisions so much easier too. Because I know as moms, a lot of the time, and as women, we tend to be people pleasers, right? I
No, not at
need
all.
more volunteers. Oh gosh, I don't have any time, but they need more. So I got to show up. Also, I don't want to be like the bad mom that doesn't show up at the PTA. So you're like pulling yourself there on 10 cans of espresso shots and put 10 other things to the side, but you're there and you're halfway effective, but you're there. So it was hard to say no. When you know what your values are, it becomes very clear and very easy to say yes or no to something and to not feel guilty about it. It's just, hey, you know what? These are the values that I have. This is where it fits in. And it doesn't mean that I have to say yes to every single thing. And so it's just like this big breath of relief like, okay, I don't have to be everything to everyone at all times.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. It's so true though. And I love going back to that your comment about learning to say no.
Hmm.
And it's not that we have to say yes to everything, but when you put it up against your values, then you can learn when to say yes, when to say no. And
Yeah.
that really makes it easier with the decision making.
Yeah. It starts to create boundaries for you, which is another thing that we tend to have problems with. Don't know why. It's like you have a teenage kid, you've been doing their laundry their whole life just because you got used to it. And you're like, why am I doing their laundry? They're perfectly capable, but we don't want to rock the boat, or we tell them once and they throw a fit and it's like, fine, I'll just do it. And we're grumbling the whole time and we're mad at them and it's like lazy kid, but we do it. And we don't enforce those boundaries. It's like, no, no, you have the boundary. It's like, you're old enough. I have taught you. Guess what? If you have no clean clothes, that's on you. Sorry. Sorry, bud.
I love
Love
that
you
so much.
much. Mwah. Don't say I
On
miss
that
you next
note,
week.
we're going to let my son take over for a second and tell us a little bit about Tanzania.
All
Have
right.
you ever been afraid to raise your hand in class or apply for the school play? I know I have, but not since I've joined the Speak Feed Lead project. The Speak Feed Lead project is now going to Tanzania to help the youth there get their voice heard. We need your help to give a donation. Any donation counts. If it's $5 or $100, any donation will help us be able to inspire the youth and change their lives and give them the power they need to speak from their hearts and give them their voice.
As we ask for a donation for this project, we also want to pass that voice and message along to you, as well as bringing more connection to your family. And so we want to provide a guide for you to bring meaningful connections between you and your kids, what we call a morning circle. And it inspires you to go through and really conversate with your kids in a 5 to 10 minute fashion that really starts to bring deep conversations. We provide the directions for how to do it, along with the cards you can print yourself, and create the deep questions such as, what does it mean to be yourself? And you'll be surprised as you go around doing this process, how it starts to just naturally start to open up more and more conversations, even throughout the day. So we want to bring the voice to everyone. All we request is for a donation to our Tanzania project, and we will send you the details to how to make your own circles and get your own cards as well. So please click the link below and make the donation that you feel comfortable with, and we will send these materials to you. Thank
And we're back.
That
So
is cool. That's
getting
sweet.
the voice out there all the time and finding, again, I think with what you were saying with when finding yourself and making sure that you get your passion and genius out there and really bringing that in. My son has really taken off and wanting to do his own speaking and stuff. And it's like, I never would have foresaw that as we're going down this entrepreneur route. Like I just kept thinking, what are we going to be taking away from the
Yeah.
family? Never thought about what am I going to be providing by doing this. And the role model it really comes back to is really, as you were saying before, is really when you have your values and you're showing your kids, all of that really ties into being that person and being, as you putting together who you were with motherhood and then the parts you find because of that. I'm just so inspired by all of that.
Yeah, well, it's true. Because you model to your children what the world gets to be. Every mom knows this. Your kid does what you do, not what you say. And I remember one time, I think my oldest daughter, she was maybe, I don't know, a little bit over a year old. And I used to be on the phone a lot because I work from home. And I used to be on the phone a lot. I would be booking hotels and do event coordination. And so I'd be on the laptop or I'd be on the phone, hold on a second, baby. And so one day she was walking around with something and she just comes up to me and she's like, "Hold on, mama, I'm on a call."
You
And
got it
in
right,
that moment,
mom.
I gotta get off this phone in front of her.
Well, on that note, we're going to dive into our final 5 questions for you, which is number one, what podcasts and or resources helped you manage that busy mom life and entrepreneur life?
Oh gosh. There's a lot of podcasts I love to listen to, and I also I'm on Everand, which is like a book subscription service, I guess like Kindle. So I'm on there all the time. I'm a voracious reader. I love to read and to learn all the time. Um, some of my favorite podcasts, I love Brendan Burchard. He is great. He has his daily growth day. Um, I love Jenna Kutcher. Jenna
Mm,
Kutcher is fun and, gets a lot of the business stuff in there for you as well. There's another guy named, oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. Ah, I don't know, but he's good.
I like that. I'm gonna have to use that when I can't think. Oh,
Yes. It'll come to me when we're done. But yeah, I really like those. Some of my favorite books have been, stuff on habits. I love Grit. I think it's by Angela
that's
Duckworth.
one too. Yeah.
That was a really good book. And then there was another one. It's not, it was, wow, I'm completely blanking, but it was around habits. And then another person that I really love that I think is great for everyone because she's basically studied the difference in men and women over the last, 30 years at this point is Alison Armstrong. And she has programs and she's written a couple of books and they're in story format. And it was great. Her first one was Keys to the Kingdom, which describes the different stages that men go through, which is so eye opening because, if you're married, you're going through those stages with your man. If you have boys, you're going to watch those stages happen. And then the other one she wrote was The Queen's Code, which talked about, again, the differences in owning your feminine power, coming
Mm,
out of your feminine and the differences between masculine and feminine. And that one isn't stronger than the other. It's just that they're different. And when you walk in your true essence, the difference it can make in your life. So, yeah, those are some of my favorites.
I love that so much. You guys such great too. I hope that when you get a chance, you can put some of those titles in the chat for everyone
Sure.
to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Number 2 leads into what fun activities bring joy to your family that you enjoy doing. I love hearing what different things families are doing.
Oh gosh, we love to do obstacle courses. So that's
Ooh,
always fun. And we'll do them inside too, like in the wintertime or in the summer when it's super hot. Cause I'm in Texas. It'll get super hot sometimes. I'm just like, we're not going
believe it.
outside. So we just bust things out and we turn our house into an obstacle course. So that's always fun.
My girls would love
Um, Oh yeah, it's a blast. You just at the couch, the pillows, we have the little mini trampoline. We even have like there's still the rocking horse, the tunnel. I mean, you just make everything and anything becomes part of the obstacle course.
Well, now you're thinking about when we actually were when I was the one here, we were homeschooling, we did do we made obstacle courses part of gym class inside the house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super fun. We love movie nights, so that's always fun, of course, and the girls have their popcorn with that. I'm not a big popcorn fan, but man, they tear that stuff up. So movie nights and then games. We love playing games. In fact, I always joke around with my girls. I said, I had to have 2 kids because I love Pictionary and you can't play with 3. So
I love that. Pictionary is always fun.
I mean, you got to be honest with them.
Yeah, it's true. The brute honesty. Well,
Yeah.
that kind of leads us into number 3 though, because we're talking about the busyness. So I am
Yeah.
on this quest to redefine the word busy. And so I always and I still can't stop myself from saying every time I talk to someone, how are you doing? And the answers are always, I'm fine, or I'm busy doing blah, blah, blah. So my goal is to come up with new ideas on either how to reword the question, reword the answer, any which way you want to take that.
Yeah. So a really easy one would be just if you walked up to someone, wow, what's been the best part of your day today? Because I know I just had mine seeing you. And so
Oh,
it starts out, I mean, who doesn't love to be complimented? And if you have a genuine smile and you're coming from a genuine place, because when you see your friends, aren't you excited to see them? And don't we want to hear about what the best part of their day? I love that. I love that you're reframing that. I'm gonna have to use that.
I am just on a mission, and I still to this day cannot it just is so ingrained in me that it's without thought. I've been I do stop it sometimes, but there's still so many times where it's just how are you doing? And also I'm like, I did it again. But again,
Yeah.
it's a realization and just knowing that it's there. But I want the more ideas I get from all the speakers, it's just been amazing to get. I love that. What is the best part of your day?
I
I
just thought of
love
one like for people that is walk up to them and instead of how are you doing, just say, what's something you've just been dying to tell someone? Because I'm here.
Oh, I love that. I'm writing that one down too. Oh my gosh. See, this is why I have the question, because I'm getting so many great ideas, and I hope that
Yeah.
inspires others
You're
to
gonna have to put the whole list
that
somewhere so
is
that
my
everyone
goal
can
at one
access
point.
it.
I've been asking this question for 59 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the
All right.
compilation.
I'm going to do that. Number 4 for you. What does success mean to you, and what do you do when you celebrate success?
Mm. That is such a good question for people to know because I think so many of us we have this airy fairy idea that success has to look a certain way. For me, I try to make my definitions of what something means to me as broad as possible so that I can experience it anytime. Like right now, I'm having success. You know why? Because we're having a really great conversation. And even if you're the only one that ever hears this, we're connecting and I feel like we've bounced off and inspired each other. So that's success.
I
I
love
have
that.
yeah, it's just if you make it hard, if you make it something that's so unattainable, you're just gonna be disappointed all the time, versus if you make it something that you can access at any single time, man, life becomes a whole lot better. I have success when I finish schooling my girls for the day. So, I'm like, "Success, playtime, let's go." No
I
one's in
will
the book.
success when they're on the bus. I'm like, I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Just like literally, you could just say, success is the fact that I woke up this morning and I'm grateful that I have this life and I get to make a decision on who I get to be today. And that's success. So it's literally to me, is whenever I look at something that, and my husband, he jokes around with me. He's like, sometimes you just need to have a bad day. And I'm like, why? Why would I want to do that?
Why?
I mean, no, don't get me wrong. He's an awesome, amazing man, but we are opposites. You know what I mean? And sometimes he's like, your silver lining is just nonstop. And I'm like, I have bad days. They're just short. Like, why am I going to stay there? That's just not fun. So, to me, like I said, if you're going to have a definition and you're going to make something mean something to you, make it so that it's going to be as easy as possible to feel if it's great, and as hard as possible to feel if it's not.
I love that so much. And it's actually just making me think about today because I was like thinking, first came in like, there's so many interviews today, like it's going to be like, might be overwhelming. I get tired and stuff. And I was just like, I've been so uplifted by every single conversation that it is already 2:47 and my son will be home in the next hour with the one I don't know where my day went, that it was just like amazing versus like this idea of like too much to do. And so I think when we're living in the things we enjoy doing, that is success.
It flies. You're right. I like that.
Which leads us into number 5 with Inspire Kids. How do we inspire the genius in our kids? What are some ideas you have for us?
Whew, that's funny. I have a kid that's saying mom at my door right now. She's
Mom, inspire me right this second.
inspire me at this moment. Yeah. I think for the way I approach it with my kids is, obviously, whenever you see something that they like, you just encourage it. And when they're frustrated with something, help them understand what frustration is. That
Mm,
it's not a bad thing. That you're, even when things that are normally easy for you, sometimes you're going to hit walls, and that's okay. That's good because it's making you better. And if you can get through the wall, then the joy on the other side is 10 times what it was before. And so, failure for us is just a stepping stone. It's like, you failed. Okay, great, good. The only way you actually fail is if you just decide to stay there. And I'm sure you've heard that. The only way you can fail is if you don't get back up. So encouraging them, and then also recognizing when it's time to pull back. So, for example, my oldest daughter, was taking piano lessons for a while, and it was like pulling teeth to get this kid to play the piano and exercise. And I tried everything. It was like, oh, let's watch YouTube videos of other kids playing. Oh, this is fun. Let's do a fun, like a haunted theme song for Halloween or whatever. And it just wasn't happening. And I realized, you know what? I don't want her to never want to touch this piano again and to lose any enthusiasm she had around it. She's got a whole bunch of other things that we're doing, and she has an entire lifetime that we can get back to this. So why don't we pull back for right now while she's still got some energy and joy around it, but she hasn't totally turned resentful and frustrated by it. So it's also recognizing those times like, okay, it's time to pull back. And obviously there are things that
right.
you can't pull back with, but on stuff like that, it's like, okay, we can pull back. It's not the end of the world if you're not going to be playing the piano right now. And let's just be real. You're not a piano protege, so I'm not.
Don't worry about it.
We're not really losing a whole lot here, and maybe piano isn't it. Maybe we find it's violin or we go into singing, but whatever it is, I don't want to squash anything that she had excitement around because I pushed too hard.
Oh, I love that so much. And honestly, that's what we just did with my daughter Bella with she wanted to take a break from swimming, and I thought she'd want to do spring, but she decided she wanted. I'm like, you know what? You want the break, you take the break. And if you want to go back in fall, you go back when you're ready, because it's a commitment on their part. And so it's like, and if she wasn't going to commit to that, I'm like, I don't want to push her like
Yeah.
Going to go to swim class? Do you want to go to swim practice? I'm like, so that also helps with your mentality in knowing that they've decided that they want to do something versus is that push and pull. I love that so much. But on that note, I hate that we're gonna have to wrap this up, but tell
I know.
everyone.
We talked, man.
I know.
I
And
talked
we
at
can
least.
keep going. We can keep going. But I'd love you to give everyone how to get a hold of you and what's your final takeaway for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So I also have a podcast called Fun Rich Mom. So it's available on YouTube, it's on iTunes, all the places. And if you go to funrichmom.com, then you can go there and you can actually get the 5-day redefine guide that I talked about in my episode. And that'll put you on my email list where it's just I'd send you out whenever we have a new episode and like one email that's just going to add some value to your life every week. So nothing crazy. And I would love to have you be a part of that. And as far as a final takeaway, geez, I don't think there's just one thing in life that you can take away. But I guess it would come down to the reason I named it Fun Rich Mom is because this life, you've got one of it. We walk around with grumpy faces so often. I mean, walk down a street and count how many people are smiling. It's going to be less than, one hand.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, yeah, literally, if you think about it, there's not a lot of people that are just going around looking like they're truly having fun and joy and having joy in their life. So that would be my takeaway: is figure out a way to put a smile on your face, find joy, and tell your face to reflect it. Right?
I love that. Find joy until your face to reflect that.
Yeah,
I love that so
yes.
much.
And
I've
then
been
it'll
smiling so much all day long.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, I'm so thankful, Mitch, that you came on here, and I'm so glad to have you on here. And I love that our messaging is so similar, and even the value, like you have no idea how similar our messaging is because I know you don't know as much about mine. But listening to some of yours, I was like, but again, it's not the competition. It's about
Yeah.
uplifting each other and just knowing how to support each other. And whoever needs either one of our messages, it's out there.
For
And
sure.
I just want to you reiterate that more as we're women in business here to support each other, not to say you can't do that or I shouldn't do that because someone else is already doing it. No one is doing it like you. No one has your voice. No one has your message. Even if they're similar, it's not the same. I just
Exactly.
wanted to point that out. And thank you so much for coming on, Mitch. I'm going to put you backstage, but I'll give your takeaways.
Thank you. And again, just amazing job putting this together. Thank you for
Oh,
having that vision and following through.
I know, following through, right? The hard part.
Yes, that's hard. You did it.
Yay!
Big win.
Woohoo! Celebrate. Oh, I dropped my notebook on that point too.
There you go.
All right. So that was Mitch Blackford. What a wonderful guest. So excited to have her. So I'm going to go through my notes again. They're not pretty, but they're still work. So number one is about that not squashing your mom life, right? Not squashing it, not saying that your old life or anything, but merging together the concept of your past life, your mom life, and what comes out from that and putting it all together into acknowledging your new identity and who you are and the possibilities are endless. And that leads into our decision making. She was talking about going through the pinball of it all and that lever. But when we stop and we start to make those decisions and wrap those into who we are, that makes all the difference. And I feel like my notes are off a little bit because I had better ideas. But we're going to incorporate that all together. And that leads us into that was all number one. Number two is, when was the last time you made a commitment to yourself and stuck to it? So it's all about the commitments that we make to ourselves, because those a lot of times are the first ones that we break. But when you start to make that first commitment to yourself and stick to it, that perpetuates you moving forward. And remembering that commitment to yourself is very, very important, which then comes to number three is, when we make that commitment, how do we do it? We schedule it. We change your alarms so that they're not the same, so we don't start tuning them all out. And put some song on, put some music while you're doing it. Add some fun to these commitments you make to yourself. The word commitment doesn't have to be, I can't do it. It can be, what can I do to enjoy today? And then number four comes into that concept of that thermostat, right? That she was talking about, where we have that set temperature. And unless we start to do things to raise it, like those commitments to ourselves, we're always going to come back to that same spot. We're going to go up for a little while, but as soon as it gets too high, we're going to self-sabotage and come back unless we change that temperature by those commitments that we make to ourselves, which comes into how do we do that? By identifying our values and what is actually important to us. I love the story that she gave us about not finding her husband or someone right away because she was valuing freedom and not realizing it so much. But so when we actually identify those, we can then make decisions into who and what we want to be. And I'm just so thankful that Mitch came on today to give us all those takeaways. And I hope you're enjoying the festival. And those of you who are listening to this down the line, because these podcasts will be released later on, all the stuff for the festival is actually still in the Facebook group. So you can still go join. And even if you're listening to this months from now, you will see all the replays still in the Facebook group. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.